Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. O Premanandi Hayaribo, Jayom Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Parapajik, Acharya Astatarasa Sri Srimad ISKCON BBT Founder, Acharya of Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Prabhupada, Om Vishnupad, is of Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sakahosh Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopada Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Gir Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Brajabhumi Dhamadam Ki Jai. Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Lal Chal Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Most beautiful Lordship Shri Shri Radha Girdhari Ki Jai. Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gauritai Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Going back to home, back to Godhead Ki Jai. ISKCON San Diego Yatra Ki Jai. Brihabadanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. International Food for Life Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Haribo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Gaur Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, who is the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regularly attending the Srimad Bhagavatam class and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto the personality of God whose worship with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are continuing reading from the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is chapter 15, Instructions for Civilized Human Beings, text number 15. Dharmartam api neheta yatrartang varanodhanam anihani havanasya mahaher eva vrittida. Dharmartam api neheta yatrartang varanodhanam anihani havanasya mahahir eva vrittida. Dharmartam api neheta yatrartang varanodhanam anihani havanasya mahahir eva vrittida. Let's see. Yes. Vrittida. Dharmartam api neheta yatrartang vadanodhanam anihani hamanasya mahahir eva vrittida. Dharmartam api neheta yatrartang vadanodhanam anihani hamanasya mahahir eva vrittida. Vaishnavis, okay, synonyms: dharma, artham, in religion or economic development. Api, indeed. Na, not. Iheta, should try to obtain. Yatra artham, just to maintain the body and soul together. Va, either. Adanaha, one who has no wealth. Dhanam, money. Aniha, the desirelessness. Anihamanasya, of a person who does not endeavor even to earn his livelihood. Mahaahe, the great serpent known as the python. Iva, like. Prittida, which obtains its livelihood without endeavor. Srila Prabhupada's translation for this verse. Even if a man is poor, he should not endeavor to improve his economic condition just to maintain his body and soul together, or to become a famous religionist. Just as a great python, although lying in one place, not endeavoring for its livelihood, gets the food it needs to maintain body and soul, one who is desireless also obtains his livelihood without endeavor. Please repeat. Even if a man is poor, he should not endeavor to improve his economic condition just to maintain his body and soul together, or to become a famous religionist. Just as a great python, although lying in one place, not endeavoring for its livelihood, gets the food it needs to maintain body and soul, one who is desireless also obtains his livelihood without endeavor. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Human life is simply meant for developing Krishna consciousness. One need not even try to earn a livelihood to maintain body and soul together. This is illustrated here by the example of the great python, which lies in one place, never going here and there to earn a livelihood to maintain itself, and yet is maintained by the grace of the Lord. As advised by Narada Muni, Bhagavatam 1.5.18, Tasyaiva heto prayateta kovidaha. One should simply endeavor to increase his Krishna consciousness. One should not desire to do anything else, even to earn his livelihood. There are many, many examples of this attitude. Madhavendra Puri, for instance, would never go to anyone to ask for food. Shukadeva Goswami has also said, Kasmad bhajanti kavayo dana durmadantan. That's 225. Why should one approach a person who is blind with wealth? Rather, one should depend on Krishna, and he will give everything. All the members of our Krishna consciousness movement, whether they be grihastas or sannyasis, should try to spread the Krishna consciousness movement with determination, and Krishna will supply all necessities. The process of ajagara vritti, the means of livelihood of a python, is very much appreciated in this regard. Even though one may be very poor, he should simply try to advance in Krishna consciousness and not endeavor to earn his livelihood. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschatishtarine Om Agyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmalitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishnang Stapitang Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Ragana Tanvatam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhya Shah Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it's been a while since I've visited New Govardhan, and well, to speak of giving class, but I did reside here for a few years, back in the early 90s, 90 to 92, at which point Jayadvaita Maharaj uprooted the BTG house, except for Dravida, and he, myself, and Yamaraj, we transferred to Alachra, yes, but you stayed. We couldn't uproot the Dravida from San Diego, and he's still here since then. I think it was partly because Maharaj didn't want you to go. Maharaj didn't want you to go, Bhajanarayan Maharaj. Because at that time, it wasn't just the BTG house, myself, Yamaraj, and Jayadvaita Swami, but also B.I., Sadaputa, and Jutakarma, Krishna, what was his name again? Krishna Kripa. So many devotees were leaving at once, so Bhajanarayan Maharaj said, no, you cannot take Dravida, he has to stay here. Yeah, I later joined him in Washington. Yeah. Anyway, just a little history. Now, those of you who are here this morning, Dravida read 2 verses, and this reading in the morning is, for me, is very important. We do it in Los Angeles, many other temples they do it, where you select some portion of philosophy to read in the morning. And if you listen attentively, don't start spacing out and fix your mind on whatever verse or whatever section was read. It helps you through the whole day. So this morning, Dravida read two slokas, or 2 verses, 2 excerpts. One was from the Shikshashtaka, and the one before that was, anybody remember what the point was in that? What was stressed in that first reading? What was stressed was that material miseries cannot be avoided, but you can mitigate them by glorifying the Supreme Lord. That was the point. So you take something like that and you meditate on it all day, because miseries are going to come. We have a material body still. Even some of you may already be on a spiritual platform, but the body may still act materially. Just like Srila Prabhupada, there was no doubt he was on the spiritual platform, but he got, tooth that fell out, stroke, heart attack. These things will come. We're in the material world. So we can't be surprised. We can't be blown away when some adverse situation shows up. It's the nature of this place. Persons who are completely spotless in their character, like Srila Prabhupada, they still get vilified by others. His Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta, was attacked. They were planning to kill him. So my point is, don't be surprised or upset when these reverses come, or you hear of something negative. Of course, as Vaishnavas, when we hear somebody say something negative about us, we should think. I remember when I first joined in '73, I was told almost immediately, before you fall asleep at night, go over everything that you did in the daytime. And if you think you offended somebody, next day you should go and pay obeisances. Like that. So we should be introspective. We should review not just our actions, but even our thoughts. Because we know in previous ages, a person would get sinful reaction for bad thoughts. The famous example is of Jamadagni, father of Parshuram. The mother went down to the river to collect water, and she saw some handsome Gandharva, and just in her mind, she was thinking, what it would be like to have such a guy in my life. But the father back in the ashram, he knew what she was thinking, so when she came back, he said, kill her. So my point is, in previous ages, your mental situation was taken into consideration. Now, in Kali Yuga, it's not, but doesn't mean that we have a free ride, because thinking leads to feeling, leads to willing, leads to action. So if we don't take charge of our thinking process, then we're going to develop bad feelings and we're going to will ourselves to do something bad. So we should take this to heart, that when the reverses come, glorify Krishna. Glorify Krishna. Our natural tendency when we're conditioned is We want to be glorified, everything about me. And if somebody dares to even think something negative about me, I want revenge. That's material conditioning. As Krishna says in the 16th chapter, he is my enemy and I've killed him, and all my other enemies will also be killed. That's the demoniac mentality. Devotee is, first of all, introspective. And if you come to the conclusion that, no, I didn't do anything wrong, still you may have to bear the results of somebody else's bad thinking. And it may mean that sometimes you have to change your situation because it becomes negative, too much poisonous. You have to move on. Sometimes these things happen. So be prepared, in other words. Those of us who have been around for a while, we know this. We've experienced ups and downs. But sometimes as a new person, you may wonder, I've taken to Krishna consciousness. I'm chanting 16 rounds a day. I'm following the principles. I'm doing some service. Why am I still in this such situation? Why isn't Krishna just paving the road with gold and showering me and somebody have a chamar fanning me all day long? No, it's not going to work like that. And we see from the lives of the great persons like Srila Prabhupada that when reverses come, they just double down on their attachment and commitment to Krishna consciousness. So that's what we should do. Now, where do we get glorification of Krishna? From the Shastra. This is the great gift that we've been given, that we don't have to speculate how to glorify God. We've been given concrete, succinct information about God. Like Prabhupada used to say, we know his address, we know his phone number, we know who God is, we know how to contact him. And so the most direct way, specifically recommended by Lord Chaitanya, is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. You stay in touch with Krishna all day, all night. I had a wife at one point, divorced a long time ago, but she used to make fun of me that while I was sleeping, I would chant Hare Krishna, but not like kirtan, like japa style, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Yeah, while I'm sleeping. So I thought, wow, I'm blessed. Even in sleep, I'm at least trying to remember Krishna.
You didn't remember that you were chanting?
No, I didn't. I wasn't conscious of the fact that I was chanting. But she told me on several occasions, you're chanting japa in your sleep. I said, okay, wonderful. So this is actually a blessing. This is what we're supposed to do, become so attached to the holy name that we can't stop chanting. Of course, there's so many other verses we should endeavor to remember. Like Bhagavatam we're reading every day, everybody knows the first verse of the Bhagavatam, Janmanya Sahata. How many of you know the last verse of the Bhagavatam? Chapter 12, text 13, text 23. Besides Rabita. Anybody else? It has to do with the holy name. So this is your homework for today. If you don't know that verse, the very last verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, chapter 13, text 23. Okay, Rabita, let it rip. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya. Yeah, Sarva Papa Pranasham. Pranamo Dukkha Shamanas. Tam Namami Hari Priyam. Yeah. So the whole thing concludes again with stressing the chanting of the holy name. Shukadeva Goswami is glorifying the holy name of the Lord in his very last statement, that Nama Sankirtanam Yasya, the holy. Yeah. Yes, exactly. This congregational chanting of the holy name. Sarva Papa Pranashanam. It has the power to destroy all sinful reactions. And everybody in this material world who's not yet a pure devotee is accruing some sinful reaction. And that's stated clearly in the 10th canto, chapter 49, text number 12. And there's an interesting, we have our BBT editor here, maybe he can explain. In the Krishna book, if you look, the chapter names match the chapter names in the 10th canto, but this chapter doesn't. This chapter 49 in Krishna book is titled Ill-Motivated Dhritarashtra. But in the 10th canto, it's titled Akrura's Visit to Hastinapur. So I don't know why, maybe our editor can explain later on. The chapter names are different. But there's a nice verse there. It's Akrura preaching to Dhritarashtra. And he says, Eka prasuyate jantur, eka esha praliyate, eko nabungte sukritam, eka esha chaduskritam. Says, it's translated as every creature. I like to always say every living entity, but either way. Every living entity or every creature is born alone, dies alone, and alone has to reap the good or bad results of their activities. Karma, in a nutshell. So everybody's in that situation. It cannot be avoided. The only way we can get out of karma is, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dhamma Parityajya. We have to really consciously surrender to Krishna. Prabhupada said once in Los Angeles that you should go before the deity and say, "Sir," and we all laugh because, we don't usually call the deity sir. But Prabhupada said, you go before the deity and you say, "Sir, this is my situation. For so many lifetimes I've been ignoring you now. Please accept me as your eternal servant." Business finished, if we are actually sincere about that. He said you go once in front of the deity and say that, business is finished. Krishna will never let you go. He'll hold on to you. So this is our situation. We just have to become more and more sincere. We all know this, but we have to become more and more sincere about that attitude of being Krishna's eternal servant. Under guidance. Not that I'm Krishna's eternal servant, so whatever comes in my mind and I do, that's okay. No, we have to be under guidance. Krishna consciousness means it's practiced under the guidance of superior authority. Two words that we don't like to hear when we're conditioned. We don't like to hear superior. We don't like to hear authority. Everybody wants to be their own authority. Not just, no, that's too easy. We want to be somebody else's authority. At least one person I should be in charge of. This is our mentality. But the devotee always wants to be under the shelter of his or her superior authority. And that way you're free. You do what the authority tells you to do. Like there were so many cases, and anyway, we don't want to go into that negative history, but Prabhupada always said, you follow the authority. And if there's some discrepancy, then it falls on the authority. Just like in general, we know from Bhagavatam that if somebody presents themselves as a leader of a country, nowadays monarchy is abolished, but they act like monarchs, isn't it? Even those in the democratic approach, they act like monarchs, but to speak of those who have an autocratic tendency. They don't call themselves kings, but they act like kings. So according to the Bhagavatam, you become a king, a leader, you have to take 1/6 of the karma of all the people that you're leading. That's pretty heavy. Because the mass of people are not acting piously. What to speak of Krishna consciousness, they're not even acting piously. So you're getting so much negative reaction built up on a moment-to-moment basis. And that's why we see so many of them, they are around for decades, it seems, and then one day they just get dragged down and slaughtered, murdered. So many examples, Gaddafi and Libya and others. It's just, so you fool yourself that you're in charge, everybody has to do what you say, but then one day the Yamadutas come and say, "No, sir, you have to do what we say. Come with us." There was one devotee, I forget her name now, she's in New Goloka. So she was distributing books, and one business guy came by, she showed him Second Chance. You know that book? Yellow cover, it has the Yamadutas dragging Ajamil out of his body. So she showed him the book, and not interested, so he took off. So she's a steady distributor, she keeps going back to the same spot regularly. So several months later, the same guy came back, it was an airport, and I've been looking for you, I want that book. So she was surprised. Nobody comes and begs for a book so eagerly. Why? What happened? Because she had forgotten about him. He said, several months ago I came to the airport, you showed me that book, and then I went somewhere and I got ill. I fell into a coma. And in the coma, I saw those guys. Those horrible looking guys, Yamadutas. Of course, we don't have to worry. Prabhupada said if you become a devotee of Krishna, you will never see the Yamadutas, not even in dreams. So today's verse, our Muni, who is Vyasadev's authority, Vyasadeva is giving us this entire Vedic literature. Why? That's explained in first canto, right? Anartho pasavam sakshat bhakti yoga vadosite. Lokasya janata abhinam sak shakre sattva sangitam. That the material miseries of the living entities are superfluous to them. It's not really happening. It's like being in a dream. But the mass of people don't know that. And it can be mitigated by the linking process of Bhakti Yoga. But the mass of people don't know that. They don't know this. And therefore, Srila Vyasadeva has written this Vedic literature, which is in relation to the Supreme Truth. So we're supposed to jump on that, take advantage of that, the Vedic literature, especially what we get from Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, etc. And we should experience that our material miseries are being mitigated. They go down, you're less and less affected by, again, the ups and downs of life. And once we are experiencing that, then we can wholeheartedly give the process to others because we know it works. It's not a question mark anymore. We know this process is working. The threefold miseries, misery of the body and mind, miseries enacted by other living entities, and miseries imposed by the demigods, like earthquake, shower, excessive water, rain, like that. That's under the control of the demigods, but we're not so affected. Devotees just adjust accordingly, whatever is happening. Sometimes it's too dry, it's too wet, whatever. You just adjust accordingly. Because we know we're in Kali Yuga, where these things are very, very prominent. In other ages, because people were more pious, the weather was more regulated, everything was more regulated. But now in Kali Yuga, because people are so sinful, you get these extremes, extreme drought and extreme rain and earthquakes. So many things are happening because of this age. Hurricanes. Yeah. You take your choice. You go to what we would call, those of us who are from that coast, we call it the right coast. This is the wrong coast, but you go to the right coast and you get bombarded by hurricanes constantly. And then you come to this coast and you have to worry about earthquakes constantly and other things. Now there's a cyclone bomb, so it's going on. These things are going on, but if we're practicing Bhakti Yoga properly, chanting 16 rounds minimum every day nicely, following the regular principles, engaging in some service, and glorifying Krishna. And that's why you're so fortunate you have one of the supreme Krishna glorifiers right here, and I'll let him throw in one glorification of Krishna verse at the end. I know he has unlimited. But I'll tell a story. We used to live together on Reed in what we call the BTG house. So, we would take meals together. Myself, Dravida, and Yamaraj. And Maharaj, when he was there, Jayadvaita Swami, but he traveled quite a bit. So one morning, he spontaneously came up with a poem. And he didn't remember. Years later, I asked him, what's the rest of that poem? He said, I don't even remember. What poem are you talking about? So he said, I am not black. I am not white. I am not yellow or green. I am not a boy. I'm not a girl. I am not in between. I'm the servant of 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 the Lord.
No, servant of the 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 Lord.
Yes, exactly. So, if there are no questions, I'll have Dravida give us at least one or two glorifications of Krishna from his collection. Anybody have any questions or comments?
No, that's not fair because they had one in front of them.
No, it's okay. Yes.
Well, I have a question.
Wait. His hand went up first.
Oh, someone has it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You have two mics anyway. You can hold one and pass the other one around.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for
Hare
the
Krishna.
class. Really nice. You mentioned that the kings get the karma of the
1/6 of the karma of the
1/6
people.
of the karma of the people. How did that happen? Was there like a ritual or how? How could they get that karma?
How? I don't know if it's stated in Manu Samhita anywhere, but Prabhupada mentions it in one purport, that the king gets 1/6 of the karma. And it's just logical. If you're getting the benefit of being a leader, glorification, remuneration, so many ways you're benefiting from leading people, then you have to also take the negative side. Not that you just get the positive. So it makes sense. Just on a common sense basis, it makes sense. If you're going to lead people, just like, if you're head of a company, you're reaping the benefit of the work of the employees, so then you also have to take on some of their negative. When they have need, you have to be there to help them. You can't just, take the positive and overlook the negative. So that's the rationale. Yes.
Comment on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like, it's throughout the Bhagavatam, we hear of these great kings who were very concerned with the spiritual advancement of the populace. In other words, that's their central responsibility, to make sure the Dharma is going on and like that. So the fact that they're not doing that and people are sinning, it's a natural thing. Well, okay, they're going to, because they're in a position where they can actually transform lives and instruct people, and so that they won't commit sins and won't suffer. But they're not doing that sufficiently. Therefore, they're also getting part of it. That's another way of understanding it. We ready? online. Okay, Vijay Krishna, you there?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Okay, Maitreya. Go ahead.
What about leaders in ISKCON? Archita Prabhu mentioned political leaders taking a sixth of the karma, and I believe there's some responsibility for leaders within the international society as well, isn't there?
Well, every position that you take in or out of this society or that society, you're going to get some reaction. Again, if you're benefiting, like it says in the Bhagavatam, don't be a father, don't be a mother, don't be a guru, don't be a leader, don't be any of these things. If you cannot deliver your dependence from the cultures of birth and death. So that applies to everybody, not just leaders, but if you're a husband, you're a mother, you're a father, stay there. Pita nasasyat, janani nasasyat. Don't be any of these positions if you cannot deliver your dependence. Because if you can't, then you're going to get reaction. In the case of the guru, spiritual leader, Prabhupada said, the normal course of events is if you can't deliver your disciples, then you have to come back to deliver them. So everybody has responsibility. Everybody has some reaction for not fulfilling that responsibility. So it just means everybody has to live life very cautiously. That's why this chapter is there. How to live life responsibly as a human being. A particular verse today was mentioning about how to live. Even if you're poor, don't make any great endeavor to change that. That's your situation for this lifetime. And you try your best to be Krishna conscious, not just to change poverty into wealth, because it's not going to last anyway. Transforming material situations is not going to last. Today you're down, tomorrow you're up, and the next day you're down again. So yes, whether you're a leader in ISKCON or elsewhere or just a family member, wherever you are, you have to act responsibly and be prepared to take reactions for not acting responsibly. Yes.
Thank you.
This is one of my all-time favorites. Probably everyone here knows it. Uradi katamoladi bangam nabidadadikidano sadangam yubadi bidayat mananatadangam panamatiham. His flute emanates entrancing sounds for the cowherd girls whose love abounds, for the clever cloud-complexioned lord who's dancing upon the Kadindi shore. Or this is one that, another favorite.
All right, Kesh. Yes, one more, and then I have to run. I have to go to this conference.
All right, these are both by Rupa Goswami. Upon his chest is manifest the mark of Goddess Shri, and there to rest the Bese breathes, a temple for the bees, who worship him by singing hymns that limn his loving play, while Shri Hari most gleefully acclaims the way they pray. For Braja's love-mad milkmaids and for all the Brahmins' wives, Shri Krishna is the ultimate good fortune in their lives. His sandal-paste anointed limbs bedim the full moon's glow. Unto the lotus feet of Shri Hari I bow down low.
Hare Krishna. Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna.